Hello, and welcome to this edition of Burgers and Fries. I know it has been a while since we've been recording. We have been busy. Wondering what I was doing for the first 2 weeks of April? Well, that's simply because I was out traveling and photographing the April 8th solar eclipse. You saw it, right, Tony?
Yeah, you convinced me to go down south to go check it out.
And I saw it too at home.
Why do I not have this stuff on YouTube? Is because I keep my work life and my YouTube life separate. You really want to find out about it and see all the pictures? Well, come contact me on Discord and I'll show you. Anyway, this subject that we're going to be talking about, I can't believe it keeps getting brought up, especially by all these purple-haired activists about it.
You mean the whole, whatever tweet Biden said?
Well, that's part of it. But he basically said that tweet kind of in response to what these people are saying, what they're making a fuss about. And you know what that is?
No.
It's the whole equal pay, equal opportunity thing as applies to the WNBA and their stars in a sense.
Jeez Louise.
That sounds similar to what I heard about California raising the minimum wage to $20 an hour.
Oh, well, that's a whole different can of worms. We don't need to go into that there. So, again, why do we have our current president, Old Man Brandon, even joining in this action? Why do you think?
Because he's a creepy weirdo pervert?
Probably just for brownie points. So let me just read this tweet that he said. And I'm saying in quotes, "Women in sports continue to push new boundaries and inspire us all. But right now we're seeing that even if you're the best, women are not paid their fair share. It's time that we give our daughters the same opportunities as our sons and ensure women are paid what they deserve." Okay, even though he's the same dude who messed with Title IX, that actually granted equal opportunities to women. Maybe the word you're thinking of is hypocritical?
Oh, yeah.
I would say so.
Okay. Do you think he made the tweet himself, or was it just somebody on his staff that did it on his behalf?
Probably someone on his staff on his behalf.
Okay, so chances are he didn't make the tweet. He probably had no idea that he was tweeting. He probably doesn't even know idea what day it is. Again, saying that women in sports continue to push new boundaries. Nothing really wrong with that, but, that also begs the question. Is he referring to biological women, or is he referring to women who were originally named William who swam for a swim team in College, Pennsylvania?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we're talking about a guy who doesn't even know what room he's in.
I know the answer.
I mean, the dude easily gets lost. I mean, have you seen some of the pictures?
Yeah, the dude manages to fall up the stairs.
It's funny. I actually went and saw Jeff Dunham in concert last night, and it was hysterical. They had Walter dress up as Joe Biden, and Walter was pretending to be Joe Biden, and it was hysterical.
I'll bet. Now let's go over what he's saying. Now he's saying, right now we're seeing that even if you're the best, women are not paid their fair share. Who is not being paid their fair share? What is their fair share? You got to be more specific like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's like Kirsten Dunst, who recently complained about the pay disparity she had with Tobey Maguire on Spider-Man. Oh no, the love interest, who's not the focal point of the movie, got paid less than the superhero who the movie's fucking named after. Oh, what a cruel world.
I wasn't even aware of it at the time.
But that's like somebody playing the Native American complaining he didn't get paid what John Wayne got paid.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Again, it's time we give our daughters the same opportunities as our sons and ensure women are paid what they deserve. What opportunities are women not being granted anymore?
It seems like they have equal opportunity as men. It shows these days, more so than before.
That we can agree on.
When did this turn into
it's probably more so than men these days, actually.
When did this become the 1950s or 60s all over again with the women's rights movement,
I feel like they want it to be the 1950s, just so they have more shit to complain about.
I'll put it this way, that without sexism, these activists would not have a purpose in life.
That's true. Now, again, we already have all of women's sports covered. I mean, you have women's golf, there's women's tennis, there's women's basketball, There's women's soccer. There's even a women's pro hockey league and a women's pro softball league. And
women in the military.
Well, of course. But even then, if you watch pro wrestling nowadays, the female talent is getting way more exposure and even main events, major shows, and actually draws people to attend.
That's been going on for a while, though, with the wrestling. That's been going on for a while, even the WWF days.
Yeah, but the difference is in the WWF days, you had people like Sable, who was just a sex object, versus nowadays, you have women like Rhea Ripley. I know she's injured at the time of this recording, but she is like a generational talent that absolutely you should be paying attention to. Because she knows how to fucking work. Trish Stratus was a sex object. You're talking about the woman who was instructed to bark like a dog at Vince McMahon on national TV. You're talking about the wrong people, Tony. The women. No, that's okay. The women workers nowadays usually wrestle like the guys, and that's actually the biggest compliment you can give them.
Yeah, it's true because it kind of was like that when I was in high school with high school wrestling and stuff, where you had females on the team and stuff, and they would wrestle just like the guys.
Good.
Let me guess, Tony. Did they ever wrestle you or something?
No, I almost had to at one time, but the girl was a weight class below me.
Oh, I thought she could beat you real easily.
I wrestled for 4 years. I knew what I was doing.
Hey, trained wrestlers know what they're doing, Greg. I'll give them that. So, again, why is this stuff about the WNBA being brought up again? Well, it's because of this new face of the WNBA named Caitlyn Clark. Ever heard of her?
Nope.
Heard the name.
Nope.
Okay, first round pick of the 2024 WNBA draft. And there's activist outrage over her starting salary, which they stupidly compare to the salaries of the NBA draft picks in their rookie years. Guys, I just named Caitlyn Clark. Can you name any other WNBA players?
I don't watch sports.
Fair
I don't
enough.
watch either, but I can't think of any.
So none of you guys can name any WNBA players. There's not a wrong answer there. That's okay, right?
Is that bad that we can't?
That's not saying that. But I'm being honest, the last WNBA person that I actually remembered was Lisa Leslie. I remember Lisa Leslie as far back as the 90s because she'd be on promotions on Nickelodeon and other kid networks. So she was a popular athlete at that time.
Okay. I'm starting to get you.
There you go. Now, she was ranked number 5 by ESPN as the greatest WNBA player. When I looked up who the top 4 were, never heard of them. Now, Lisa Leslie retired in 2009. It's 2024. I'm sure there had to be someone in the WNBA that made headlines and news in that time, right?
Nope. Really.
You mean there was no WNBA player between 2009 and 2024 that made news a couple years ago and got people talking about her?
Nope.
You're forgetting about Brittany Griner, the chick who got arrested for drug smuggling in Russia and then was returned to the U.S. on a prison exchange. Remember that?
Yes.
You know who they traded Brittany Griner back to get?
Let me guess. It was a criminal, right?
Yes. They traded a guy who was a notorious international arms dealer who was in custody on terrorist-related charges.
Oh, jeez.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's who we gave up to get Brittany Griner back.
Jeez. How stupid are people these days?
Now, again, there's such a thing as lopsided trades, but that took it to another level. I mean, really? Somebody who just got being a dumbass in Russia, who was otherwise harmless, they couldn't trade someone else for her that wasn't a notorious warmonger with the nickname Merchant of Death?
Ugh.
Yeah, that seems rather suspicious.
Yeah, good job there, Biden administration. Tony, we're not jabbing you on Joe Biden. We've done that enough. Don't worry. We're just jabbing the actions.
Okay.
I really wish I could have joined your one podcast about Trump versus Biden.
Oh, there will be other opportunities, I'm sure.
Watch for before the election.
Anyway, back to Caitlyn Clark. So Caitlyn Clark got brought up because she's basically hyped up to be a generational talent, like an absolute phenom who they say is going to set records. You know, she'll have a box office draw, she'll raise the bar, leave a lasting legacy, assuming she stays healthy and has the lengthy career. So I'm going to go into some money logistics here. So Caitlyn Clark, the number 1 draft pick for 2024, for her first 4 years is going to get an average of about $84,000 a year. That's going to be her salary. You know what the 2023 NBA number 1 draft pick got last year?
No, what?
He's going to get $13 million a year for the first 4 years.
Wow. That's a bucket load of money there.
That is a lot of money for a rookie. And, you know, they say that Victor...
Well, too much money for a rookie.
Well, they say that Victor Wembanyama is going to be a generational talent like Caitlyn Clark is going to be. So, of course, you can see why you have the equal pay, equal opportunity activists making a total stink out of this. It's like, well, why is Caitlyn getting this much money, but this guy is getting millions of dollars, right?
Right.
Well,
it just doesn't seem fair.
So what does not seem fair about what Victor's getting or what Caitlyn is getting?
I think the guy that's getting paid more millions than the opposing player.
Okay, so yes, on the surface, you're looking at it as, yeah, wow, why is she getting this much while this guy's getting a shit ton of money? All right, I totally get that sentiment. I think we all get that sentiment, right?
Yep.
But, gentlemen, what do you think the difference between the NBA and the WNBA is?
Women, National Basketball Association, and National Basketball Association.
What do you say?
Did you think about that all by yourself, Tony?
It's obvious.
I know what the difference is.
What's the difference, Greg?
One brings in more money than the other.
Boom. Now, I made that rant going over this topic back in June of 2023, and I said that the WNBA pulled in about $60 million a year. Million spelled with an M for men, right? And I admit that's probably based on older data, because you look up the WNBA revenue now, it reportedly brings in about $200 million per year. Guys, how much do you think the NBA brings in?
Well, probably not as much as the NFL.
We're not talking NFL. We're talking NBA. Just give me a figure. How much money do you think the NBA brings in?
I'm honestly stumped.
Some $1 million, some $1 billion or something.
Billion, okay, with a B as in boy, it's $10 billion.
Oh, I was right. Yay.
Huh.
The NBA brings in $10 billion. The WNBA brings in $200 million. That's a 50-to-1 ratio in revenue.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The NBA can pay those guys because they do bring in that amount of money. You know, you look up the average price of a Lakers ticket, courtside seats will cost you easily 4 figures. And the average price is around $450. And then that's for a regular season game. The average price for the NBA as a whole is about $95. You know what the average price for a WNBA ticket is?
Only 50?
Yeah, about half, about $47. So WNBA tickets are cheaper. The league doesn't pull in that much money. But no, the WNBA players, they just want the same revenue share that the NBA players get. Okay, how much revenue share do you think the NBA players get versus the WNBA?
Tell me.
The NBA gets 50% of the league revenue. The WNBA players get 10% of the league revenue.
Still finding it hard to believe now there's actually 2 NBAs.
So the WNBA, out of that $200 million, collectively split $20 million between the players, which if that was split evenly across the board for 144 players, that's about $133,000 per player. I'm sure there's those that are going to say, well, look at Caitlyn Clark's starting salary. She's getting ripped off. Here's the thing. the NBA is able to pay those players because they profit. You guys know what profit means, right?
Making money.
Make money.
Boom.
Yep.
After all those expenses, they still make a lot of money. Do you think the WNBA makes money?
Cannot say.
They lose money per year. They lose tens of millions of dollars per year.
Jeez.
So what they get from ticket sales, merchandise, and broadcasting deals are not sufficient to sustain the WNBA independently. You know who actually keeps the WNBA afloat? The NBA.
Ooh.
Pretty much. They actually subsidize the league and help with the finances. Oh no, they should be paid getting the same as the men for doing the same work. Really? Are the WNBA players doing the same work as the NBA players? Yes or no?
No.
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 Okay. And you know why we're saying no? Here's the difference. The NBA teams play 82 regular season games. You know how many games the WNBA players play?
41.
40.
That was close.
An NBA game lasts 48 minutes. A WNBA game lasts 40. So for a league that loses money every year, where women play less than half the games that do not last as long, and as we'll get to, for games that nobody fucking attends, an average salary of over $100,000 is actually quite generous, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no, but Caitlyn Clark is getting ripped off.
Caitlyn Clark, her face is in the papers at my job, and she's everywhere. They're trying to make her like the next It Girl, it seems like, because they promote her all over all the damn time.
You just admitted earlier that you never heard of her. Now all of a sudden you know who she is.
I forgot about the paper at the store. I forgot.
Oh, Tony.
Good
Don't
old
start,
Tony.
Greg.
You can say that she's getting ripped off, but as of this recording, she is set to sign a $28 million deal, 8-year endorsement with Nike. She'll be fine. The way I see it, if she's as good as people say she is, then she'll attract people to attend the games, right?
Right.
Maybe she'll pave the way for other female superstars to get higher deals and get paid what they deserve. Is that a bad thing?
Nope.
No, not at all. She can always sign more endorsement deals, right? She can have more than one at the same time. So I have to ask you guys this question. Who do you think watches the WNBA? Men or women?
Men.
Women.
Here's the real stat. The traffic for WNBA.com, according to SimilarWeb, is 60% male.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, more men are interested in the WNBA than women are.
Sex sells is what they say.
Not even that, Tony. It's for all the females who cry a river. Where's all the women at these games?
Nowhere.
For all the ruckus they want to put up, WNBA games should be packed with fucking feminists all dyeing their hair the same color as their teams. But they're not. The same people who keep making a stink about WNBA salaries being unfair are the same people who cannot be bothered to even watch a WNBA game. Pat basically earlier said, oh yeah, the salaries are not fair, but then you admit you don't even watch sports. So why should you care what they're paid? So why are people not going to the games? It's because for a quarter of a century, a lot of people do not find the games entertaining enough or even watchable. Hell, it was even joked about on Futurama. I provided examples in that last Coyote rant I made about this. I showed clips of people who couldn't name a single WNBA player or even their local WNBA team. Plus, I also showed clips of people who were even offered free courtside tickets to a WNBA game and they refused them.
Quite an eye-opener.
Okay, what about TV? Well, on average, the TV viewership for the WNBA was 627,000. And that was considered record-breaking. By comparison, the NBA averages about 1.6 million. Now, what about the finals? WNBA finals averaged over 700,000 people, which is an increase, but pretty much the same audience. While the NBA finals in 2023 averaged over 11 million people watching it. So to put it in perspective, more people still watch pro wrestling per week on average than they do WNBA games. Probably because it's more entertaining and less botchy. Now, again, Tony, you're Indiana, right?
Right.
Would you call yourself a Hoosier?
Yeah.
So, Tony, would you agree that in the state of Indiana, your state loves its basketball?
Oh, yeah. They love the Bulls. They love the Pacers. They love them.
Thousands of people will watch these high school basketball games.
Well, it's entertaining.
Okay, good point. But let's get to WNBA attendance, all right? Some of the more popular WNBA teams in the major markets, they average about 9,000 people attending. Now, that may sound good, but consider the arenas that they play in. They play in arenas that have capacities for 20,000 people. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlyn Clark is going to play on, which would explain, Tony, why she's all over every newspaper in your state, right?
Right.
Okay.
Mainly the Chicago Sun-Times.
That last season averaged about 4,000 people in the same arena that the Pacers play in that seats 18,000. So even in the state with the largest interest in basketball, prior to Caitlyn Clark, they still didn't support the WNBA team. So by and large, guys, you agree. You understand nobody goes to these games.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine how heartbroken these women must feel when they play in mostly empty arenas.
Yep.
I mean, as Bill Burr once joked, he said nobody in the WNBA got COVID. So rather than attend the WNBA games or even watch them on TV, women audiences would rather watch The Real Housewives or The Kardashian. They'd rather watch women tear each other apart and destroy each other than watch women come together as a team to achieve a common goal. Now, I know they have their fans. One of my coworkers recently purchased season tickets. So the way I see it, he's actively supporting the LA Sparks in the league. So people that actually go to their games and watch them on TV, they're the ones that can say, yeah, the women that deserve more. Anyone else who actively supports and tries to generate fan support, go for it. Like, that's exactly what the WNBA needs. Now, Tony, you saw that Caitlyn Clark's picture was all over newspapers at work that you're saying. When Caitlyn Clark started getting into the picture, there's actually been a huge upward trend in viewership and attendance for the WNBA.
It doesn't surprise me.
Okay, because you already saw that she was plastered everywhere on the newspapers because of her college career.
Right. Yep. Oh, yes. Even the customer who picks up the shirt sometimes every day, she was telling me about all this, how she's like all hyped up and stuff and everything. The next best thing since bread and butter.
Okay, that's awesome to hear, actually. So, coming off the highest rated college basketball game ever for women, when Clark declared for the WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever's average ticket price actually doubled. And then
It did.
Yep. Teams playing the Fever when they're visiting are seeing games nearly sell out, and her jersey sold out on Fanatics.com once she was selected. So that's all great for the Indiana Fever in the immediate future, but what about the long term? Do you think this will hold itself?
To be honest, I don't think so.
And that's a fair thing to say. Now, people look at the NBA now and forget that the NBA before 1980 was pretty much a dead league.
Yep, you're right about that.
And it wasn't until you had Magic Johnson and Larry Bird that started generating a lot of interest. And then that paved the way for Michael Jordan, and then so on and so forth. The WNBA, yes, they need players of that popularity caliber to attract new fans. So maybe Caitlyn Clark is going to be one of them. She has that chance, absolutely, to set the WNBA on fire, even with the added interest. Will the fans continue to stay and watch these WNBA games? So do you think that instead that the fans will start comparing them to the NBA games? So people in Indiana will be like, wait a minute, this isn't as good as the Pacers. So they won't find them as exciting or worth watching, and then they'll stop supporting. Is that what you think might happen?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I would say so.
Unfortunately, the odds are not in Caitlyn Clark's favor. So maybe she will save the league by putting more fans in the seats. Maybe her talent will attract viewership on TV and will lead to better TV deals and higher revenue shares. Maybe she'll be able to negotiate a better salary and set the standards. You know, maybe she'll get all of this good stuff because of her popularity and star power. And then maybe the league will eventually turn a profit. Only time will tell. So one last closing thought, guys, as we go.
I got nothing.
Me
All I can
neither.
say is, this is a fad that will fade away like all the other fads.
Well, maybe Tony might be right in there. We'll see what happens if that prediction. So my whole thing, once again, in closing, is that people that continue to cry wolf over WNBA salaries, yet cannot be bothered themselves to support the teams or players, they just all need to shut the fuck up.
Indeed.
With that said, the diner is closed. I'm Desert Coyote 22. Thanks for listening.